Star Wars Celebration Europe went down this past weekend, and as you would expect, there was a decent bit of somewhat impactful news regarding the entire Star Wars universe. So I just want to touch on a couple of those bigger points real quick. First is the new Rogue One trailer / behind the scenes video that we got released online, not the exclusive trailer that they only showed at Celebration and have subsequently removed every single copy of from the internet apparently, because screw you, eagerly awaiting fan base. The new trailer / behind the scenes little short film that we got released to the rest of the world though was still pretty cool, and it got me very much more excited for Rogue One. I feel any of those concerns that Rogue One was going to be toned down, and that it was in trouble because of the reshoots, I feel like those could probably be put to rest, because judging based on the quality of just this little 3-minute bit, you can tell that there's a lot of talented filmmaking personnel behind this entire project, and much like they can crank out a quick little 3-minute thing that's going to give you goosebumps and totally awe-inspire you, they can make a pretty solid movie, I'm guessing. It also looks like, although not yet 100% official, that there will be no opening crawl to open up Star Wars Rogue One or any of the subsequent Star Wars anthology series films, to which I say I'm okay with that they're not going to do that in the tradition of the standard Star Wars opening and opening crawl, but I do think it could have been very cool if they had made their own style of opening crawl relative to every single anthology film, sort of specific to that to give a unique spin on that whole thing within each unique Star Wars film. But alas, doesn't look like it's happening. We also got official confirmation that Episode 8 is going to begin exactly where The Force Awakens left off, with Rey holding out the lightsaber to Luke Skywalker. This whole thing is a pretty decently big change to the way Star Wars movies have been done so far, because in every other instance, a decent bit of time had passed, and it sort of made the importance of the opening crawl that much more relevant to the movie to set the stage of everything that's happened from the last movie leading up to this movie, and then you're basically thrust right into the action of this entirely new story. But in this go-around, probably not going to necessarily be the case. Now, it is definitely worth noting that there very well could have been a decent amount of time that passed between the destruction of Starkiller Base and Rey actually leaving to and arriving to at Ahch-To to encounter Luke Skywalker. So things like Kylo Ren being badly injured, Finn being badly injured, there could have been several weeks that passed there between all of that travel, all of that getting prepared to leave, and actually leaving, that they could have healed, and we can actually pick right back up with where their stories need to be, where their characters aren't incapacitated. But it also interests me in a way that every other Star Wars movie so far has begun with sort of a dark and ominous tone, where you're not really sure what's going to happen, but it kind of feels like something bad is about to happen. So I wonder how that's all going to fit into this, or if there's going to be some other kind of scene that happens immediately after Luke and Rey encounter each other, or if there's going to be some kind of dark greeting between the two that we didn't really expect. Also, kind of part of me suspects that we might get a little glimpse or some kind of little hint about some little bit of Rey's background in this opening scene, because it's been talked about so much. Why not just hit us in the face with it from the get-go? It's a little bit of my feeling. Moving on to the Star Wars Rebels Season 3 trailer, which was so damn good. Seriously, if you haven't yet started watching this show, do so now. It may start a little bit slow, and it's a lot of new characters to get acquainted with, but that Season 2 finale makes all of it worth it, and that Season 3 trailer looks like everything is going to be really insane and really exciting, and it is an amazing part of the Star Wars universe, in my opinion. Now, in regards to this trailer, me personally got a little bit giddy at the idea that we're going to see a young Wedge Antilles in action, but the bigger news for pretty much everybody seemed to be the introduction, or I guess reintroduction, of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, admittedly, I have not read any of the previous books that featured Grand Admiral Thrawn, but I've heard his name mentioned so many times in reading about speculation and past Star Wars lore, and some of the biggest parts about what is now Legends that people wish would be brought back into canon. This one is a wish come true for all those people. And with the appearance of Thrawn in Rebels Season 3, as well as the upcoming book Thrawn, which is authored by Timothy Zahn, who was the original author that created this character. Pretty cool throwback of them to do that, by the way. This is going to be a little bit different, because initially his character took place in the events after Return of the Jedi, but he's obviously going to be in Star Wars Rebels Season 3, and Timothy Zahn even said in a Q&A regarding the book that it's going to time span several years between Thrawn's introduction and first meeting with the Empire up to the events of Rebels Season 3. So it's going to be a different time window that this character's appearing in, and there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not he will will die, what kind of fate will he meet, or will he kind of fade off into oblivion and maybe eventually re-return in canon if they ever decide to fill in the holes of what happened between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. At least fill in the holes more so than they've done, because there hasn't been that much so far that's been filled in of those 30 years that are largely unaccounted for. That's pretty much it for the biggest news of Celebration, but there was one more tidbit that I saw that I wanted to touch on a little bit, and that was J.J. Abrams dishing out some quotes that he would like to see a standalone anthology film about the Knights of Ren. Part of what's great about the entire Star Wars universe right now is that it is indeed very possible that we could get such a movie, maybe even more so if you're willing to direct it, JJ. I'm just going to throw that out there. Also, why not do that movie sooner rather than later while you've still got Adam Driver relatively young and closer to the age in which Ben Solo would have become one of the Knights of Ren? Or maybe if you want to do full origin story of the Knights of Ren, let them do their thing, tell their story, and you could even end the movie on a cliffhanger of them essentially first encountering Ben Solo and taking him under their wing. Again, we've got 30 years of things that happened between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, most of which is still unaccounted for, so why not dabble a little bit more into it in regards to one of the major characters of the current trilogy? Just throwing it out there, JJ. I bet if you push for it, you can make it happen. Anyway, that's just a couple quick thoughts I had on a handful of the biggest news stories from Star Wars Celebration Europe. I would be eager to know some of your thoughts on what you thought about this whole weekend, some of the news that got you the most excited, and any elaborating thoughts you might have on things that I talked about today. So if you have those, feel free to share them in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I see how many people are liking the videos. That makes my day, you guys. I love that. So thank you for that. And again, like this if you enjoyed it. Obviously, if this is your first time here, subscribe if you want more Star Wars videos. But above all else, everybody, thanks so much for watching.